So I've removed most of it. Well, there's a couple of little bits there. I've left this piece. There's nothing wrong with it. It's absolutely fine. And because that stitches to that, it keeps that exactly where it should be. So I've got a bit of a reference there. And, you know, there's no point hacking out bits that don't need to be hacked out. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that panel. It was actually quite good, kind of up into the corner, but it's sort of easier to keep the shape of the other panel if I just sort of tack it along. And I can cut down the welding a bit because there's a cut out there and a cut out there. It also makes lining this up quite good, because if I line up the cutouts in the other panel and get them perfect, then I know at least down here it's exactly where it should be. It's a bit out of trough it at the moment because there's so much more of it at the top end. But at the top end, actually, I was quite impressed that it's really all right. Ignore the grot, that's just grinding shit. So it was just really that corner. The actual tailgate, back of roof hinge panel, whatever it is, there's a bit of surface on it, but it's actually corroded into it from the lower panel, and there's the remains of the upper panel. So I don't need that much because it's pretty good under there. There's a little bit of grot, it's just crept to about there. So my plan is to cut the lower panel from its outer edge across the two spots, right the way across and through, and join it up down here. So I've got a nice straight edge where I can cut the one to fit. Repair panels, they ain't perfect, but it's one of the reasons I wanted to separate them. It's not bad, it is just surface that will clean up, but there is corrosion along the seam, as is always the way of things. I've also got, again, I don't need this much of it. I think I'm going to end up probably cutting it through here. I'm going to have to fill all of these holes apart from that one and that one. So I'll have to weld them up. The outer panel, again, I've cut off far more than I need, so this one's probably going to get cut, I don't know, probably across here. I'll have a look in a minute and see where I want to go with it. There's some holes to fill in this. Of course, annoyingly, it is in colour, and it's not actually in bad nick, but obviously by the time I've welded it, the whole thing will need paint. 10 minutes of freestyling, act a bit off that. Don't worry too much about the fit around the top because it's not held with anything at this end. I've just got two grips at the bottom end. It lines up absolutely perfect at the bottom. Don't worry about that hole because that's where I drilled through the spot weld on the other car. There's a bit of a gouge in there because when I cut it, I wasn't very careful, but I can fill that, that's no problem. So that is bar cleaning up and filling in that hole and that hole, that hole, that hole, touching these in, that hole, that hole, that hole. You can leave that hole and the two holes up here because I'm going to plug weld through. But I can't plug weld, and this is the bit that gets a bit complicated-ish. I can't plug weld that to that because there's the third panel, this bit, that goes between the two. And I'd quite like to weld this one in first, just because it's easier. However, I'm going to see if I trim the outer panel down, because I haven't done that yet. So if I trim the outer panel to fit, I might see, given that it's on the outside of that, it just sits over the top, I might see if I can trim it to fit here and then get it to slide in behind, because of course conveniently there's this enormous hole here, which should be there, but it's right across where I've cut, so I could get the torch in from behind because it only goes to there. So I can get the torch in from behind and just tack it through that hole. So if I can get the other panel cut to shape a minute and then see if I can slide it in. If I can do it that way, then I'll just weld it through that enormous hole, and that will be significantly easier. But I think you'll agree already, just with some mole grips, and I could just Sikaflex it I suppose and call it a day, but I won't. But it's already starting to look like a car, and I know I've got the measurements about right. Again, I took no reference measurements, but that lines up. So there's the swage line just there, which lines up perfect with that, because the outer panel goes over that lump and joins to that, etc, etc. There are some things and dents in this I need to knock out from where I was a bit brutal getting it out of the car, but where it needs to fit, it all just lines up absolutely beautifully. I fucked up slightly here. If I'm butt welding, I like to leave like a mill between the panels, just so I can, you know, weld right through it, and it's decently welded right the way through and strong and whatnot. And well, my measuring skills are not clearly what they were. I've got somewhat more than a mill in places, but that's okay. You know, I'm welding down onto it so I can fill that. That's not really a huge problem, but you can't really see it because the G cramp's there, but the line where the what do you call it, seam sealer was, yes, I know there's some corrosion there, trust me, I've peeled this back. It's just a bit of surface. Before any of this gets welded, this will come back up, all of this will get hydrated, but that line follows absolutely plumb on. It fits perfectly in the corner. I've actually bent the tab back a bit because reasons, but it does fit. The line follows relatively well. I'm just going to want a little bit of a, actually that's just where the shite's over the top, but you know, that it's actually pretty good. This bit, I know it's not too bad here because that's the original panel behind it, and that curve is absolutely, I mean, you can't see it, we can just about see it at an angle, but it's plumb on. So I think I'm just going to chop that through there and weld it there. So I mean, that is just literally the C panel sticks to it. This all needs trimming back because I bent this panel quite badly. You can see where trying to hoof it off, and although the cut looks bad there, it's because this panel's twisted again where I was sort of yanking it off, so it actually needs tapping out here. This is in, which is why it doesn't follow the line of the valance, so it needs a bit of panel beating out and that folding over so that it follows the line. But in terms of everywhere it touches, it's bent out, which doesn't help, but you know, the holes kind of line up. Again, this is slightly bent out and that's slightly bent in, or I've twatted it with a hammer, but actually that's pretty good. I'm no panel beater, but I have been tickling away at this back edge. It's definitely getting there. It's almost perfect. Well, I say perfect. This has got a bit of a kick out on it, so it doesn't quite line up yet, so it needs a little bit of a tap that way. That's got a lump in it, and I can't remember if it should have, to be honest. I'm not convinced it should. Maybe it should. That is sort of flat, but of course I damaged this panel a bit getting it off, but I mean, that is all really good, and it's actually just touching there. You can see where I've completely fucked that up, but oh yeah, and it's a little bit low here just because it needs pressing up. yeah, I've had really limited time, so I've been snatching an hour here or there, given that it takes me over an hour to get here. So I've not really been spending much time, but anyway, you know, when I've been able to get here, I've been plodding away at it. All of this did not go entirely without issue, because I managed to set fire to the car. Because as anyone will know, down there, that is a void that goes right down into the sill, and it's packed with a piece of foam. And I managed to get a little spark down there that caused, you know, you can see it, but there's quite a significant fire. So I invested in some fire sheets, which I probably should have done years ago. But anyway, the pillar is in. Ignore the Bonder primer. That is genuinely just there to stop any flash rusting, because again, with the lack of time I've got here, I didn't want to leave it in bare metal for obvious reasons. But that'll get knocked off, and it will be epoxied when I get chance. And there's some very not pretty seam sealing going on. I say seam sealing, I've actually used Sikaflex 221 because reasons. The wheel arch, all of this, I mean, that's a few more bits of what was an outrigger. All of that and all of that has come off of this, and I've not even got the extra tank out yet. So this is why keeping a car on a muddy, cow shit infested farm is not a good plan. But anyway, such is life. There is some corrosion showing on the bottom of the chassis leg there, but it doesn't look too horrendous yet. We'll find out when the subframe comes out. I was gonna try and get the frame out today, but there's a wedding going on, so I can't make noise, which is why I can't get the whippy wheel on any of this crap to see how bad that is. Sort of not unexpected. Where the outrigger did live, it has corroded through. I need to get all of the paint off, but essentially if it's only that bit, it's flat metal, it's easy enough to plate, not too fussed. I'm gonna, given that I can't make lots of noise, I'm gonna have a go at, I did find some more corrosion. In fact, the more you look, the more you find, but that, again, doesn't look too bad at the moment. There's actually clean metal under there, so that should clean up okay. But yeah, the more you look, the more you find, isn't it? So yeah, I think I might get the extra tank out, because I can stick a glove over the link tube. The other thing I always meant to do to this car, the exhaust hanger, for reasons best known to itself, is right at the back, and it shouldn't be. It should be sort of there, and it isn't. I might do that because, well, A, it wrecks the rubber mounts, but I want to, usually what I do with these is put a large plate in around the corner and then weld the exhaust hanger to it to spread the load, because you usually get a load of corrosion in here because this is quite thin metal, and the exhaust hanging off of it flexes the metal, starts causing corrosion. I've not looked too carefully at any of this. This is absolutely impacted to death with mud and shite, but that rigger seems fairly solid. I'm not sure I want to get too involved in twatting that at the moment, but yeah, I'd quite like to put that where it should be, because this is a genuine PSA back box, and it's kind of had its day. It's getting awfully rotten. So at the moment, until I can have one of these fabricated in stainless, I'm going to do it in stainless, but I am also going to have it painted black. I don't know how easy it is to paint stainless black, to be honest, or paint stainless, but I want it to look like that, but I want it black, you know, miserable black, just like that, but less rusty. So for the time being, I'm going to put a stainless back box that I have on it. It looks ridiculous. It's like a cannon. It's a Scorpion one, but you know, it won't corrode. So happy days. Never fails to amaze me how many people get married. Anyway, so Jubilee clip is off the link tube. The various zip ties I have employed are all off. The run back pipe is loose and hanging. Yay! Although I will stick it back on there just for a sec. Breather is off. All of these are absolutely knackered, so I should replace all of them. That's the end of the breather. This is why they usually stink of petrol in the wheel arch, because they breathe out of this. There is a valve up here that's supposed to sort of shut, so it allows the fuel level to drop without causing an issue, but it's supposed to stop venting. They rarely work. Although that one, fuck off, that one does sound like it's not gummed up, but the bracket has, as usual, rotted off, so that will need doing. There's not really a lot left of that outrigger. I don't think I can make a pattern from that. This strap I think I made, but that's the strap that's usually missing that sort of goes into the outrigger and helps hold the tank up. As usual, the captive nut is no longer captive, it just goes round, so I will have to cut the bolt off, extract the remains of it, and weld a nut in for the strap. Although I've seen quite a lot of these with no strap in at all, but it'll have a strap. It doesn't actually, there's some corrosion creeping in here. I think that might want a patch. It's definitely going to want a patch in here, but to be honest, most of this seems okay. Boot floor looks good. I don't think there's much point keeping the remains of that outrigger on there, really, is there? I mean, I don't know how far this corrosion's crept behind all this shit. It could be quite bad. But I can't put any power tools on it today because of the weddings. That'll be tomorrow's job. I mean, undoubtedly what looks like a small hole and a bit of corrosion is going to end up being a much bigger hole and a lot more corrosion, because that is the way of things. But, you know, this feels fairly solid, so I'm hopeful I might get away without having to put massive plates in it. Same with that leg. There is some corrosion in it, but it doesn't look horrific yet. I'm expecting it to be quite bad around the subframe mount. The subframe mount is I actually managed to pick bits of that off. You know, there's a bit more. So I think quite a lot of this is going to have to go. I thought the return lip on this panel was quite good. It isn't. It's not. It's mostly just that seam sealer stuff that Citroen used. So I'm going to have to remake the bottom piece of this, because I don't have that. Although that's not, you know, it's not difficult. I mean, this bit, I mean, you can see where I tried to clean it up with a grinder many years ago when I welded it in, and it's a bit shit, but it's still solid. It's all there, so that's good. And I can replace this bit because I've got it. So yeah, I might go get the endoscope out and shove it up the hole and see how far up the corrosion goes. It's a prime example of why Citroen's weird rubbery paint that they used is a bit crap, because all of this looked really good, but the more of the rubbery crap you pick away, you can see that the panel's pretty much dissolved behind it, even though it looked great. So I'm pretty sure by the time I've wheeled this off, most of that panel is actually going to be scrap, which is annoying, but you know, it's quite thin metal anyway. It looked really good, but yeah, this stuff is really thick, gloopy, horrible crap, but the panel's just dissolved behind it. I don't know how far out that goes, granted, but I'd imagine that's going to be quite extensive.